Hello, boys and girls. Happy Easter, happy belated Easter. I hope you're well. I hope you've had a lovely Easter break. Your competition entries were amazing, so thank you so much for taking your time to do them. Lots of really brilliant creative ideas. So well done. Now, first of all, you might be thinking, you look a bit different to normal, miss. And I hope so, otherwise I'd probably need to rethink the kind of clothing I wear to school. But the reason that I'm dressed like this is because today I am dressed as a medieval lady. And the reason I'm dressed as a medieval lady is because of our new topic. And if you can think back to just before we finished, the last week of term, you did some work about dungeons, and it was for our new topic, Dungeons and Dragons. And this week for our topic, we're going to be thinking about castles. And you know castles already from films and books. They're some fairy tales. You can have a brainstorm of the kind of castles that you know about already. And we also did some descriptive writing about castles whilst we were still at school, when we thought about dragons before. So we are going to be thinking more about why castles are there, when did they get there, and more like the facts and the features of them. So castles were built in the Middle Ages, the medieval times, and these times were in the year 500, and all that for a whole 1,000 years until 1,500, and that's 1,000 years ago. And that space, that period of time in the past, lasted for a very long time. And there were lords around, and lords were very important people, and they lived in these castles. And the castles some of them were made of wood, and they were quite little, and lots of them were very big stone palaces. There are still castles around in England now, so lots of them were built in England, and lots of them were built all across Europe, which we have thought lots about Europe before. And they were built really to keep the lords and their families and all of their riches safe. So if you were a lord, you might have crowns and gold and coats of armour, all of which you would want to keep very safe. And because there were lots of knights around who might want to take over your castle, it's very important to keep it safe. And you might have to go out and fight for the king. And while you were doing that, you'd want to know that your family was safe inside. So we're going to be thinking about the features of a castle today. And I've drawn a little picture, and that's going to be your job afterwards. So I'm going to pop a little video underneath of some ideas of how you might draw a castle. But you can really use your imagination, and then you're going to label it as well. So we're going to think today, I'm just going to talk to you about 7 features, but you might want to look for some more, but those are ones you need to label it with. So first of all, we have my favourite part, and that is a moat. And when I was little, I used to always wish I had a moat. And a moat is a deep part of water that goes sort of all in a circle all around the outside. So the reason a moat is there is to protect the castle, because you wouldn't want people to be coming into your castle if they didn't live there. So the moat goes all the way around, and it has water inside it to keep it safe. But if you live there, you can't walk on water either. So they had a special kind of bridge, and a normal bridge you know about is there all the time, but they'd have a drawbridge, and a drawbridge would be on chains, and it would be able to go up and down. So if you saw somebody coming, or you heard someone coming, maybe on a horse, you could pull your drawbridge up and make sure you were safe inside. And when you got to the front, if you got over the bridge, there would be usually 2 quite big grand doors, maybe made of wood, and these would have another thing to keep them safe, and that would be a bit like a gate, and it would go across them, and it's called a portcullis, and that would go over the doors. So really you can tell how much they wanted to keep their land, what they owned, safe. And so once you got to the door and through, you would be in the castle grounds, and in the castle grounds there would be lots of different parts, and one of those parts is the Lord's chamber, and the Lord would live there with his family and his lady, which is where I got my inspiration from my outfit from today, and they would live in the highest part of the castle, and it would be the lightest part. So this was sometimes called the solar, because it would have lots of sunlight in it. So they would live right at the top, and then anyone else that lived there would probably live further towards the bottom, because you might have many different people that would live in one grounds. So the Lord would live in his chamber right at the top, and then around the sides you would have some towers, and the towers are some of them are quite cylindrical, so they'd be on the different points, and the towers you'd be able to climb to the top, and they would have something called arrow loops in them, because you might fire arrows at any enemies trying to get in, or if you need to protect your castle. And then round the side, which is something that I always recognise about castles, they have battlements, and these are on the top of the walls. There are sort of squares cut out, and this again is so you would be able to fire things through them, and they're little gaps so people can shoot and duck and keep safe. And then another part, which is something that is in our TOEIC title, is the dungeons. And dungeons are very creepy. Dungeons are underground, and it is where they would keep prisoners. So if anyone had done anything bad or tried to hurt them or break into their castle, they might have ended up in the dungeon. So your job today or over the course of this week is to draw your own castle and label it, and you can draw it using anything you'd like to. I used a little bit of paint on mine, and I'm going to upload mine, and you can print it if you'd like to, but I'd love to see a drawing of yours. So I don't have a rubber at home and things like that, so don't worry if you don't have very much, because it's yours, and that's my favourite thing about art, that everyone's looks a bit different. And you can you can draw your own and label it, and I'd like to see the 7 features that I've told you about, and if you want you can go and find some more, because there would probably be a dining hall where they would eat and various other parts in the castle, so let's see what you can find about them. So yeah, that is your first topic job for this week. I hope you have a fantastic week. Please do keep emailing all your work over, because it's so lovely to see you're doing such an amazing job at home. We miss you all very dearly, and yeah, it makes us all smile to be able to see your fantastic work. So good luck, and please do email any questions, big or small. You'll speak to an adult from school this week anyway, and have a fantastic week.